was set up by Kwame Nkrumah Village. So I mean, they really don't have any choice but to get up there and do something to represent Africa. Can it do it for them? So we are looking at 1863, 1992, GIJ 1. GIJ can book something up.
I want to go for GIJ. Yes.
Can I sit here?
I think we need more women on the platform because men are boring and women are exciting. You can tell an analysis.
Invite my wife to come again.
Yeah. Where she is?
There she is.
But she sang already.
You want to go to
Okay, so let's do one more and then whether Bluegrass are here will start.
Let her come and sing. Turn around and sing. She should leave.
She took the song I wanted to sing. Should I sing it?
Yeah. Show her voice.
What is that romantic? Yes, sing wise, singer. Sing coat of many colors. One, dear Della, coat of many colors. I missed it.
What's your name there? Yeah, that one too.
Big, no. Give us something else. Perfect, yes. Perfect. That song I want to do something. I love my mom so much. I love thinking about songs meetings. I don't know the person that sang the song. I just been listening to it a couple of times. I remember Mama and the love she gave. Kneeling by her bedside, I can still hear Mama say, "Your children are depending on you. Don't you let them down." And I remember Mama in a happy way. She kept her lunch in an old greasy bag. It might seem empty, but it was more than others had. He had a lot of love deep down, deep inside. Oh yes, I remember. And I remember Mama in a happy way. And I remember Mama in a happy way. Okay, I almost have not thanked God yet, so let me do a gospel by myself.
Okay. By yourself.
Yeah.
Look it up.
It's okay.
It's good.
It's okay.
Yes.
And you will any day, my soul I share in fear, peace, feed my cheek, I to say, me true, oh, me bring she every say, my banditi, nibu ye oh, kama fu, buna buka, oh be happy, na yenti, yembra yenti, na rashe, buku tuna, butripo, timaya, nenge, bondi. Intina, oh, Yaku, Macho, yeah, I saw Chibombo, Sabanditi, Nibuye, oh, see, oh, Kamafu, Bunabuka, oh, the Kabi.
Hello, and welcome to the Aidoo Center. We were supposed to be waiting for Blue Crest, but I think we'll just start the event and then hopefully when people come, they won't disrupt. How many more seats? Like 10. So we're trying to keep it tight so that only those who are really serious will be involved with this. At the Aidoo Center, what we do is about reading and writing, critical reading and creative writing. But every so often, we are confronted with some ideas that are too precious to be let go, such as this one with Kojo Denanyoh from NAFTI. And it's a simple concept, simple idea, but incredible results, you know. So the idea is for visual arts students, for visual communicators, photographers, photojournalists, and of course filmmakers. And the plea is for you to actually listen, engage, and then ask questions with a view to getting a grasp over the kind of technology that is using. The simple thing is using a cell phone. It's thinking outside and looking at communities that nobody will go to. It's using low budgets to reach people and actually come out with really wonderful outcomes. And for me, you can put a price or the importance level on that. And so I'll just thank you for coming and then invite Mr. Kojo Denanyoh to come and then tell us a little bit about himself, tell us about this project, take us through it. And then after the spiel, we'll give you a few, Prof, look at this side, please. We'll give you a few minutes for you to answer questions. To ask any questions that would help you to get where we hope that you do. As Professor Sibukonia. So here right now, Kojo Denanyoh.
Thank you very much.
Attention, please.
For this opportunity to be around and to have a conversation with others who want to be like filmmakers or journalists or who are interested in using the camera technology. Right. I started filmmaking maybe in 1991 as an apprentice, as a production assistant in Mr. Charles Buckner's company. It was an advertising and production company, and for the 3 years that I spent with him, we spent time making some films and some documentary programs as well as television programs. And those were the formative years. And in fact, you see, Buckner, yes, he insisted that I should go to a film school because he thought that as a lay person in production, that I would come to the office and I was doing a lot of things, like things that professional filmmakers were doing. I was a learner, but I was bringing onto the table a lot more. So he decided that he would push me to go to film school, and I went to film school. And you can imagine, since 1991, we've been doing some documentary projects. Maybe I have about 50, 60 documentary films made. Yeah, but also on the quiet. So over time, I've built some experiences. And today, I want to share with you those experiences and see, to try to sort of define a path that we want to develop for ourselves in terms of communicating ideas through documentary film production. I've been teaching at NAFTI since 2000 on part-time basis. And I came back 2012 to do full-time. So since 2012 now I've been teaching there full-time. This conversation is going to be about a few things that I've done. And I just want to share with you. But we can't look at that. We have to go back into history to try to understand the way documentary film productions were done. And we'll see how much we can learn from there and how much has changed, you know, in a space of about 120 years of filmmaking. So, next slide. The presentation is divided into 3 parts. So the first one, we'll look at brief history of documentary filmmaking, right? Then we'll look at the types of documentary films that people make and what are some of the reasons that people will go into producing documentary film. But before, then the third part will be the case of Akarimata. It's a recent film that I did, and I did it because I saw, or a friend of mine called me and said that there is a competition on DSTV. Can you look at that and enter? So I went to the ad, looked at the ad, and decided that, yeah, why not? Let me just try it. And I did. You know, so that is the result. And we'll discuss, you know, some of the motivation for doing that, the challenges that came along with doing it, and what sort of prospects do we have, you know, in this time with documentary films. Right. But this conversation should be an interactive one, because I also want to pick your mind about your own ideas of documentary films and what your aspirations are regarding what you want to do with documentary films, or how you want to do communication. You understand? Documentary film is a piece of information, a film that you could do to sort of communicate some ideas to your audience, right? Okay. Now, we should note that any craft either has some great men behind it. Those people who have walked that terrain, and also people who were part of inventing a technology for that enterprise to sort of grow. So in the area of filmmaking, we can't talk about it without looking at the pioneers and also looking at the technology that was used to begin it. Next slide. Right. So today I would like us to look at this gentleman. He's called Edward Maybridge. Edward Maybridge was a photographer, you know, in the 70s, I think 1877. He came up with this chrono photograph. Usually, people would develop a technology and use it. If you look at prehistory, we have situations where people have developed their own implements for doing farming activities. You know, so we have a farmer who would you know, if it's a blacksmith or something like that, would try to create something like a hoe or a cutlass. And they will use it. These are the basic tools that we use around. So this guy, as a photographer, decided to sort of develop a camera, you know, and he got interested in a type of camera that he uses to observe people. But at that time, what would interest you to focus a camera on? He was just interested in movement of either humans or animals. Now, having shot them, then he will place them in another environment and try to sort of project them for people to see. And these were all very crude methods because it was a beginning. Now, across the planet, there were other people also working from all over the places. Right, but at that time there was a controversy. There was a certain controversy because people used to draw, you know, how would you call, if I say drawing, it's fine art, right? It's painting, yes, let me say painting. Painting preceded photography, right? And photography actually developed out of portraiture. So, in order to shift the game one notch higher, people decide to invent. But let me advert your mind to something. We are here. We are young guys coming up. And we are thinking about many things. In the areas where we are, if we have a need, then people begin to think and come up with an idea or ideas that can provide solutions to the needs. That is how come we have inventions. And I'll also tell you that the inventions, it is not every idea that comes up that gets done. The ideas that pleases the people who control money or who find themselves in power always get sorted. So for example, global warming has been an issue of the past, but we haven't given it much attention than we have given other areas that we have done some discoveries in. Why? Because if you look at the things that cause global warming, I mean, so we have a set of factories, they are working day in, day out, they are burning fuel, and it is a problem because the fuel that goes into the atmosphere goes there to create some problems there. Now, when you want to stop global warming, we have to reduce these emissions. And these emissions are the breadbasket of these rich men. So how can you do that? People will not be interested. Because once you want to tackle global warming issues, then you are killing some industries. You understand? So people are not interested. But we can foresee locomotion, train. Yeah, why not? The big men have invested in press, newspapers. And the newspapers must be distributed so that the information will get to everybody. So the need for locomotion to be there, for the newspaper distribution to happen, then people will start pumping money towards making sure that transportation is there. So then locomotion comes in, right? Then when we produce newspaper, the train can pick these newspapers and distribute them. Then the information can get to everybody. Point is, the information they are sending, in whose interest are those information? Is either advertising. Advertising has changed the way we think, the way we look. Everybody wants to drive like a BM, because that's it's about status and all that. It is the people that put that in our mind. The way we live our life are all constructed, right? So the people who call the shot are the money people, the people who are in power. Okay, let me use our parliament here as an example. What are some of the laws that get passed very fast? And what are the other laws that will drag and drag and drag before they get passed? The Right Information Bill was recently passed. But when that bill is passed, I mean, there were feet dragging. Why? Because it provides the journalist or the ordinary citizen an opportunity to go in there and dig for the information so that you can hold some people accountable. And people are hiding behind the fact that you don't have the right to see this information, so I won't give it to you. A lot of things are going on. So the politicians know that it is not too good a law for them, so they were not passing it. But they will be quick to pass other laws that that promotes their agenda, especially their self-interest. Okay, so over here, somebody came and said that we've had a lot of drawings, and there was something that was the problem. We had a lot of drawings about horses, galloping, and all that. People believe that at any particular point in time, when the horse is in motion, there is a time where all four the feet are in the air. And while the feet are in the air, people have drawn it in such a way that some of the feet are behind the back, some of them are in front of the head. And that was a controversy. So somebody came to this man and said that we want you to sort of capture the running of the horse and try to prove this point for us. So this guy developed a lot of cameras, let me say 20 cameras, and placed them in vantage points and set a horse to run. And they were taking pictures. At that time, we have not developed a motion picture yet, right? But we had a camera that could take still pictures. So he did that. Then when he finished, he looked at another technique to play back what he has done. So what he did is that he took all the still shots and sort of drew them on a technology which looks like a wine glass. You know how the wine glass looks like? So he put a horse, one horse there, another horse, all in different motions. And when that was projected, then people could see, I mean, it was like a continuous motion. So people could see how those motions were done, and at what point did the horse have all the feet in the air. And he came up with a certain discovery that had not been the thinking of man. So that was a fresh idea then. Right, so when that happened, the controversy died. Then he was on top. Now this guy visited a certain other guy called Edison, right, Thomas Edison, and had a conversation with him, and he wanted to collaborate with Thomas. Now Thomas, I think, had an idea which he thought was superior, so he declined to do the collaboration and decided that he would go ahead to sort of patent his own idea. What was his idea? It was like Nkrumah and the other people, the UGCC, right? He wanted independence now. The people wanted it. What Edison wanted was not, you see, he was not patient. He didn't want to wait to have several cameras, take individual shots, then after transfer it into another medium and have it play before you get motion. Edison wanted a camera that could provide motion. So he went straight away to the next. Hold on, let's watch this video. Before we go to Edison, let's see the shot. The main bridge.
Pioneering photographers of his time had to essentially
Look at the side of the camera, right?
and their own chemistry.
And you saw that he was cranking.
Muybridge began his career making pictures of Yosemite, taking his bulky camera and portable darkroom through the valley's rough terrain to the high peaks where he could capture the landscape's dramatic heights and plunging chasms. To achieve the shots he wanted, he took his camera out to precipices where his assistants wouldn't dare follow. At this time, a controversy prevailed among experienced horsemen as to whether all the feet of a trotting horse were clear of the ground at the same instant. To settle the debate, the railroad magnate Leland Stanford hired Muybridge to photograph his prize racehorse, Occident, at a trot. Muybridge constructed a track specifically for the purpose. Multiple cameras were lined up, each connected to a wire stretched across the track. As the horse hit each wire, a camera was triggered to capture an instant in time. Horses on merry-go-rounds and an academic painting had long been represented with all feet off the ground, stretched out in front and back. Muybridge's pictures proved something else, that the feet do leave the ground at once, but when they're under the horse's body. These photos caused a great sensation. Meissonier, a celebrated painter of horses, is said to have wept when he saw Muybridge's photographs. It was the first time that such rapid motion could be seen like this, thin slices of time, quicker than anything the human eye could perceive. Muybridge experimented with the optical gadgets of the time, the zoetrope, thaumatrope, and phenakistoscope, and he created something he called the zoopraxiscope, a precursor to cinema. It showed his still images in rapid sequence, reanimating the still photos, and cast the image on a wall. Some would say that the only thing lacking was the sound of the hooves pounding the ground, or they would have believed that horses were really running through the room. His work required him to travel extensively. When he'd been away from San Francisco for a time, he returned to find that his wife, Flora, had been conducting an affair with a local theater critic, Harry Larkins. Stricken, Muybridge got on a ferry, went to Calistoga where her mother was hiding, and shot Larkins dead. He was put on trial for murder, but found guilty and thrown to the gallows. His attorney mounted an imaginative defense, with friends and associates offering examples of Muybridge's benign madness. The attorney introduced pictures from Yosemite, showing Muybridge perched at a precarious height, as evidence of the photographer's questionable mental state. The jury pronounced Edward Muybridge not guilty and not mad. He would live to create hundreds more of the motion studies of people performing various tasks and movements, of horses and other animals. His innovations in photographic technology formed the very foundation of cinema. Every movie you see today, and every animation, owes something to the legacy of Edward Muybridge.
Yeah, so next slide. What we see today.
I'm creating my website. You think you already have a stunning website? That's cool. You're welcome.
Some of the things we see today have been inspired by that. But Edison couldn't wait for multiple cameras to get the pictures and then bring it into the zoopraxic scope for it to be in motion, right? So he wanted like one camera that you shoot with and that can provide you with motion. And immediately went to the patent office and said that he describing his idea, he said he wanted a device which would do for the ear what the phonograph does, which would do for the eye what the phonograph does for the ear. What is the phonograph? What we used to call changer. You put a turntable, right? You put a plate, and you are. He wanted something that the camera can use, and you would see it the way you can hear audio from that. So he developed it, and what he developed is the basis of any camera technology. What Edison built has become the basis of every camera technology that we have in this world. So this is how the motion camera was invented, right? Now we have the motion camera, and the next is, what are we going to do with it, right? Now, next slide. Let's look at some of the people who use the motion camera to do some work. Now, with the Lumiere brothers, the literature does not discuss how they came by the camera, but in any case, Edison has invented the camera, you know. And these guys have it, and they are using it. Now, let's play the video and see how the Lumiere brothers used the technology. Now, please watch critically, because every film to the next, we need to discuss what you think about what you've seen and compare it with the next one, and based on that, we will build some sort of understanding, right? And learning. Let me give you some indicators. Look at the position of the camera and how it is behaving and what we are seeing. Think about the size of the camera at the time. It was bulky, maybe bigger than this unit here, always sitting on a tripod. In fact, this is supposed to be the first documentary film that was ever done. And this was the second one. It was the arrival of a train. I mean, this, you haven't seen this before, and suddenly you see that there's a train coming towards you. You could run away from your home. Right? Okay, so it's just about this. We can go to the next slide. It's just about this. So here is a camera sitting on a tripod that is not automated. You have to crank it. It didn't have a motor. Like today, you just press a knob and it is just playing. You have to crank and crank as it records. So that's a lot of work, right? And the size of the camera was bulky. This is a new technology, and it was bulky. It wasn't something that you could carry around. Now, this occurred, I think, in 1895. Then came Robert Flaherty. Robert Flaherty is he was an engineer, yeah, and sort of an ethnographer who went to the He went to Iceland, where the Eskimos are, and decided to observe them. In fact, he went there. He's never made a film before, but he's come into a new environment and a new culture, and he decided that he will observe the people within that culture. So he went and came back, this time with a camera, and he started recording. He did Nanook of the North, he did Moana. Today we have Moana, right? Yes. You see Moana small, you can connect that Moana and the current Moana. He did many other films. Can we see Nanook of the North? Nanook of the North or Moana? Anyone? And this is long, it's about 1 hour. So what we'll do is I will watch 1 minute here, we'll shift into the middle, we'll see another 1 minute, we'll shift into the end, we'll see another 1 minute, then we are sorted, right? And you have to be reading and reading, because at that time there was a silent era and there was no sound in the unit when you are recording, so you could only record pictures. So these are the characters. So while you are watching, please compare this with Lumiere's film, right? Compare this with Lumiere's film in terms of lenses, in terms of movement, in terms of subjects that is captured. So you can shift it ahead, maybe to the middle or get into the end. What does this tell you? You know, somebody is standing somewhere and observing some culture and the way they go about their lives, right? And that was what Flaherty was capturing. And he would put them together into a film like this. The Nanook of the North is about Eskimos, and it's about something like that. It's like them getting out of their comfort zone, going into the area to look for food, what they will eat. You know, whether they did farming, all sort of things that they did. Camera was just there and observing. I think we can go to the next. So for me, you didn't see. Go for it. Go for So the director here, I mean, this is a scene where the director can tell that, oh, get the dog to come closer to the baby. You understand? The moment you do that, what are you doing? You are constructing. You are constructing the event, the occurrence for the people. It is either that way or you just observe and let them do what they want to do and you capture that. Okay, we can go to the next slide. At least you've seen short. Oh no, not the next slide. But we'll talk about John Gleeson. John Gleeson is a British documentary filmmaker. In fact, he is known as the father of documentary filmmaking. Why? He watched Moana, and passed some comments, and that is how come he coined the term documentary. Yeah, he coined the term documentary. They came not later. It was around. John Gleeson was also around, but with time, things were changing. Why were things changing? Documentary film was not the only art that existed. We had film, proper film. So in the area of film, with this new technology, bulky technology, people were also looking at how they can improve filmmaking. So in all the cases, we noticed that the camera view is just one. But at the time that John Gleeson came, he did some sort of changes, because those changes were going on in film. We know about Griffith. These are the people who started feature film production in America. And those were the people who started experimenting with things like close-up. If you look at all the films we've seen so far, there isn't anything like a close-up. All we have is the same lens, maybe a wide lens. That is it. So we don't have close-up yet. But if you watch Gleeson's film, you will notice that Gleeson added other things. So let's look at Gleeson's film and see how different it is from Lumiere and Laheti. You see the shot? These are closer, tighter shots, right? So they are different from the wide shots we used to see. So something was happening. Either they developed new lenses. We have wide lenses. We have prime lenses, which are like mid-range lenses, 50 millimeter, 60 millimeter, and we have telephoto lenses. So once you have these tools, you are able to do something different than a picture like this, right? So we can see just a human head, which is a close-up. So that is an innovation. That was a build-up upon what Lumiere and Co. were doing. And he did drifters. He did many, many, many films. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, no. Let's look at Dziga Vertov. Dziga Vertov was a poet. right, who found a new technology. Now, a poet plays with what? Words, right? And exactly what the gentleman came to do here. Now, so this is somebody who has an inclination towards writing and using words. And he's found a new technology. Can you imagine what he could do with it? So let's look at Zigavetov's. Yeah. So this is a man with a moving camera. How bulky the technology is. So this is either a camera or a projector, right? This is a close-up shot. This is also a close-up shot. So we are seeing new elements being introduced here. So you can go ahead, go into the middle somewhere. So Vetov took the camera. He is also doing close-ups. He took the camera and was observing. All of them were observing. And what he did was that he introduced some sort of movement. Look at how bulky this technology is. He will lift the camera and put it in a track. He puts it in a track and he's following his subjects. Right, go forward. It's, in fact, that shot, you'll see him in this, but maybe you'll miss it. You see him in the track? You see, there are several versions of them online, but there are some that looks at people's life. Like early in the morning, he goes into Makola and he finds people just lying around. They are not up yet and running, right? So those are the shots. He looks at the social condition and the situation of people, taking reactions from their faces and things like that. So he's taking a shot of get out of there. You see, so here the shots are quite exciting from what Lumiere and Co used to do. Because Lumiere and Co, they will just leave the camera for the camera to work. But these guys, they are moving the camera, they are using lenses, and they are using different shot size like this. So you saw what he did. He changed the lens, which means that you see, he's cranking, and that's the way you do it. You do that alongside filming. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. So what Ziga Vector did was also revolutionary, and that he introduced a lot of things into filmmaking that was also to change the way the filmmaking we do today has become, right? So his case was different from what the pioneers were doing. Now, look at this. Greasing coined the term documentary, as I was telling you, having watched Nanook, Mona, and Co. And he describes it as a creative interpretation of reality. What is it? What is reality? Maybridge was using the horse example, and the commentary said that if this horse, as it is going, we could hear the footsteps, then it is like, it is real. You understand? It's like there's an anchor. You pick up the anchor and you are pulling it. You are pulling it. It's on the floor and you are pulling it, and it comes with some noise because that is metal. You understand? Once you see that and you hear the noise, that is it. It's that picture is real, right? Or for example, if I'm hanging on this projector, depending on the way you take the shot, it could be real or not. So for example, I'm hanging on it, I'm holding it, and you are taking the shot from the top, and you can see me hanging on it. It's not as if that the camera is down and you take my mid session, whether my feet are on the chair or on the table, I'm still hanging. But once you take me from the top, you will notice that I'm actually hanging and my feet too are not on the floor. You understand? Okay, so there's a whole section dedicated to reality, realism, and things like that. That one, we can look at it later. But Greasing himself was a poet, and he did a lot more films. If we had time, we would have seen some of the films, more films, apart from Mountain Trawlers. He did Drifters. He did Drifters, and he did many other films. Okay. So here, I want us to look at sort of similarities and differences that we have observed in the films that we have watched. What have you observed? Can you tell me whether there are any similarities, whether there are any differences? Or anybody, if you can tell me, from what we watched from Flaherty, Lumiere, Greasing, and now Zigaveto. What do you see, Service?
Inside that, from all the documentary reports right now, there's this, we have some of them with different short sizes, some of them with the same short size. I think the one from Flaherty has only long shot, which means they are not developed yet. But coming down to John Bates, you can see that there are short sizes coming out to different lenses. That means everything is like there's evolution.
Yeah, there's some sort of or development, right? Those that are doing visual communication, if I show you a close-up, and I show you a long shot, the message that they communicate are not the same, right? So introducing short sizes like medium shots, close-up, was some sort of an improvement upon what the pioneers were doing. Yeah. So from what we have seen, what can be a motivation for somebody like Flaherty to go out there and do a film? What is the purpose of Flaherty doing a film from the films that you have seen? I've even told you that, yes.
I think that what will inspire us to do a film is to improve on what he has seen from the predecessors to make them better.
Did Flaherty's case make Lumiere's films any better? Lumiere was before Flaherty, yes.
So,
Yeah, but we didn't see any striking difference.
yes.
We didn't see that. So,
I think I did. I think because in Lumiere's documentary, there wasn't any continuity. That's what I told. I told the camera was just there, they were just the people from the camera and just coming out. But with Flaherty's, when I'm sure I'm going to prove them, Flaherty was monorized. Yes, you could see the guy or the people from the forest or wherever they are walking back to their homes. So I feel there was a difference in it to me because
okay, directorially, yeah, because the case of Lumiere, we have a camera standing and just observing. But with the case of Flaherty, we can see that there is directing.
yeah.
There is directing because I don't know, but it's in the literature that Lumiere, Flaherty could tell the people to repeat an action. He could tell them to repeat an action. The way you came out, no. Let this boy be on the other side with you. So go back and do it again. The moment you do that, you are directing the people. Do you get it? So you could see that was in Flaherty's film. But my question is, what is the motivation for them to make a film like that? I told you from the beginning that Flaherty was just interested in the life of the Eskimo and wanted to just go there and observe them. He wasn't doing that for money. He wasn't doing that for just to satisfy his own curiosity. And Lumiere too brought the camera and put it there. He may have spent some money getting the camera, and he just put it there to record people going out of the factory or a train coming. It's because he loves to do it. That is why he is passionate about it. That is the word. You understand? I just want to draw your mind to the fact of the purpose of doing a film. If you want to do a film, what pushes you to do that? Is this something that you love to do yourself, or you've been paid to do it? And I bet you, before somebody gives you money to do a film, you should have done it several times all by yourself for people to hear about you. That they can call you and say, this is 50K, get this and do a film for me, right? You are yet to get there, so that place you get it. That's why you have to do a lot of national, not even national service, your self-service. You must have something like this. You must have the technology by you all the time and collecting data create the data. Yeah? Okay. So, how were the films structured? I think that we haven't spoken about that. How were the films structured? We didn't watch all the films, but I asked for structure in terms of what were the elements within the film's formal structure. We will watch a film around that has still pictures combined with archival materials, combined with interviews. You understand? So we take different things and put them together to make a film. But the purpose of the film that you want to do will determine the way the film form, the film style, and for that matter, the way we want to structure it. Let me give you an example for Professor Nketia, who passed. I'm sure a lot of people have done film about Professor Nketia, or he's been involved in events that have been filmed and have been canned. So if I go to the African Studies Institute right now and say I want some footage about Professor Nketia, they can open up the archives and give me a lot of footage. Now when I come and sit down, then I determine which of these footage fits into the film I want to make, right? So I may need himself, I may take this, for example, if I want to do a profile about him, I want to know probably where he was born, at his age. I can't get his childhood shot, unless the mother or a relative has pictures when he was a baby. Then I can use those. So it depends on what story you are telling and what sort of visual elements you need within that. Yeah. Okay, so I was saying whether there were still pictures, whether there were maps, whether can we go to the next slide? Right. So the whole idea of the way Ziga, Vertov did to film, people wanted to move it a notch higher. But the point also is that at any particular time, the needs of man is different. Times are changing. You want to do things differently from the way it's used to be done in the past. The time Lumiere and Co produced, it was in the 17th century, right? Lumiere's case was in 1895. Then Flaherty and Co. In, I think, 1912 to 1920 thereabouts. Now, the direct cinema era was in around the 50s. But here's a movement where people who have who are into journalism decide that the way we do journalism is not too good anymore. We have to gain some freedom. We have to change the way we do things. So people like Robert Drew, Lee Koch, and Albert Mason decided that they would lift the camera from the tripod. That the camera is no more going to be on the tripod. That limits them as to how they can capture reality. So they decided that they will lift the camera there. And they also decided that it's too clumsy. So why don't we do something about making it smaller? That is how come the 16mm came. The 16mm camera was portable, was small. So Drew and Co. decided that they will create that camera to work with. And they did. Let's watch this YouTube video.